Hello Internet people, I am the Windows Mac Genius, and it's time we talk about another tech giant. Last week we talked about Nintendo, and now it's time to talk about Apple. So let's talk about this in a more personal matter, where I've been an Apple fan for quite a long time. My first phone was an iPhone, it was the iPhone 3GS, and then my first Mac was the MacBook, 2009, $1,000 MacBook, white one. And so after that, I ended up buying saving up some money, getting a MacBook Pro, and then finally, about a few years ago, got a MacBook Pro. It was even the highest model you can think of because I was getting into not only video editing but audio editing since I was using Logic as my main source and also Final Cut. And so since then, I have switched to a Surface Book. Now, we'll do another video on like why I switched. That seems to be the trend now, is I switched. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the good things on Apple as of today. So when we talk about, software, Apple's really good at doing what they do best, which is creating an operating system that is not only easy to use, but also creating software that is available to the user, like Pro Tools or which is from Avid, and then they have Final Cut as well, using a little bit of Aperture. That was another thing, and also integrating all their software with all their hardware, including their Apple line of computers, as well as their iPads, their iPhones, and Apple TV. All of it together works with iCloud. And so that's a seamless experience that no one else has been able to come even close to. Now, when you hear Apple, you think premium. Because back in the day when Windows Vista, Windows 7, all those devices, Windows didn't really have that premium feel to it. A lot of people weren't really going for the, high end because they wanted to get the market for Windows users as being that it is cheap and that it's affordable. Where Apple was sort of like the high end everything. So when you see a Mac, the cheapest Mac you could buy at the time was $500, which is still true to this day as the Mac Mini, and then it just goes up from there. Windows computers today still can be bought at a reasonable $300 and up. So that's also what Apple strives to be known for, is it always is reliable and it's always going to work. Another thing Apple prides themselves on is innovation. They seem to always be the first to the game when it comes to new ideas, like the thinnest computer. When the MacBook Air came out, it was revolutionary, people loved it, and it's still a very good computer today. It's held up to the test of time. And that's something that Apple also prides itself on, is that computers will last a very long time for Apple, especially since they did introducing a flash memory and making it so that the computer boots quickly and boots efficiently and runs efficiently at the same time. And then, of course, that brings me to another thing, is the screen resolution. The MacBook Pro and Mac and all those other computers and iMacs, they have fantastic screens. The 5K iMac is one of them, and the MacBook Pro. That's something that we always like to see, especially pro users who like to use the MacBook Pro for any of their either Photoshop or Final Cut editing. It was a very good screen, and it really did bring a lot of the colors out that you were looking for. So now to come to the fun, interesting part of the video, and that is Apple, we need to have a talk. So you've changed. There's no other way of putting it. Your software is fantastic and you do a good job, but you very limit yourself to how people can use your software. When users can't, when new developers come into play and people are trying to develop new software, like games especially, a lot of people just don't like to use you. And if you don't pride yourself in trying to get people to like your software, then not many people are going to try. Gaming developers typically, everyone knows that Macs don't really like to play games. That's not really the Mac's fault. That's more of the fact that Apple doesn't really try to get their developers to be more in touch with their gaming side and saying, hey, you should come over to the Mac side. What happens is that it comes out on the PC first and then eventually works its way to the Mac if enough demand is for it only. So Apple, let's talk about your price. When I say you are a premium computer, you come at a premium price. And that's very true. Your newest MacBook Pro is a lot more expensive than a lot of people can handle. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people are going to be willing to buy. Me working at a tech company, a lot of people try to explain to a customer, if you want to buy this computer, you have to realize you're spending a lot of money for something in the future. Now, that used to apply before. I know I spent $1,000 on my 2009 MacBook Pro, and I never regretted it since. But that was back then. See, nowadays, people understand that PCs also can come at a premium price, but still not as expensive as a Mac. And so when you get a premium HP Spectre, or when you're getting a Microsoft Surface computer, nowadays, it is about the same quality. Same screen, same a lot of different things that a lot of people don't think they have to spend so much money for that anymore. So PCs are now starting to come back as a premium product because you have a choice now. When you buy an Apple, you are guaranteed, at least for a Mac, to spend at least $800 or up now. With the Mac Mini, we're not going to talk about that because that's a desktop. We're going to say the laptops and the iMacs, they all start like at $799 up, and that's crazy. And it doesn't even stop there. All right, Apple, let's talk about your pro users. So a recent article came out about the fact that Apple wants to bring back the pro user base because a lot of people, especially big companies, are getting tired of using the trash can that is now 4 years old, and they finally dropped the price on this thing. So when people look at the PC market, they see that they can upgrade it easy. It's the most modular thing you can do because you can make a case, you can put a great GPU, CPU, whatever you want, you can make it out of the PC because Windows has been so easy to install on pretty much anything that you throw at it, except for the lowest system requirements, which makes sense. So when Apple puts their standards super high and people aren't able to upgrade things, that just hurts because then you're taking away from the pro user experience when people want to increase the longevity of their computer. They're willing to spend that much money on a PC because they know that it's going to be ahead of its time and they can do it again later on when the GTX 1080 on your PC goes out, or if your graphics gets more advanced as time goes on and you think you want to do something more, you can just pop another graphics card in there and you're good to go. And you don't have to buy a whole nother PC just because of it. So now Tim Cook wants to bring in a modular Mac, which is now going back to its Mac Pro roots, which I think is fantastic. But it took a long time, and I think that that's unfair, especially since now it seems like Apple is finally putting their ear to the door and they're listening to what we're actually saying. Because, the Mac Pro back then, when it was this like the big silver one, you could upgrade it and it wasn't hard to do. Now it doesn't even look aesthetically pleasing anymore when you're looking at a trash can. Now, granted, I haven't owned this device, but I see enough of it online to know and see it in the store a lot to understand it and to understand that a lot of pro users wouldn't be happy with it because when you want to buy the best Mac, you expect to buy a Mac Pro, and it's not. All right, Apple, let's talk one more time about touchscreens. So let me run this by you one more time. Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, however that all worked out. Windows 8 brought by the touchscreen capabilities and it was a flop. But Microsoft realized what they did wrong. They listened to their customers and brought back Windows 10, which married Windows 7 and 8 together. Now, it's a beautiful experience. When Tim Cook says that there's not going to be any touchscreen Mac anytime soon, that disheartens me because the PC market has been striving on the fact that it's not only a computer, but it's almost like a tablet. And so you're able to do more with it. So when you marry the two together, people enjoy it. I know because when people use my computer, my Surface Book, and they're like, go ahead, touch it. And it feels natural because they can touch the screen, they can scroll through stuff, and it's not a hard thing to grasp. It's an easy concept. So why not try it? The company that prides itself on innovation is now losing in the market, and more ways than one. I mean, it's ridiculous now because when I used to say that Apple, in the beginning of the video, that Apple prides themselves on innovation and how that's a good thing, that's no longer the case anymore. Your innovation was a touch bar, and not a lot of people use that because they don't see the functions that they do on their keyboard. You just have to look up and down all the time to use the touch bar. It's ridiculous. Alright guys, thank you for watching. As you can see, my videos have just changed a little bit. I was so happy with the response that I got back from my other video that I decided to go out and purchase a camera. Right now I'm currently recording on the Sony Alpha A5100 series, and it's been doing really well. I see no issues with the autofocus, and so if you like the video, please leave a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe, and let me know how the video turned out. And hopefully, as time goes on, my videos will get better for you, and I'll be able to talk more about different things that I see in the world and relate them to you. So, you all have a great day, and I'll see you guys, hopefully, in another video. See ya!